Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, the Sanhedrin daf Lamed Zayin. We are going to begin on Lamed Vav Amid Beis by the new Mishnah. Says the Masnis, Sanhedrin Haisa Kachatzi Gairin Agula. That when the Sanhedrin would judge, they would, even if a Sanhedrin, Rashi says, even of 23, not just 71, it was as a semicircle. So that they should be able to see each other. That everyone should be able to see each other, and the witnesses could see each other. Says Rashi, if they're in a straight row, the people can't see each other. If a gula shlema, if it's a full circle, in Yoshvin, they don't do. So you have to have all the witnesses, the litigants speaking in front to the judges. We want them all to see the witnesses. We don't want they're facing one direction and their backs to everyone else. So if it's a semicircle and they're speaking like in the middle, so this way they could see all the judges and all the judges can see them. Okay, and as we saw before, there's two scribes, one on the right to the left, with Kaisin Dibri Machayim Mazakin, and the question is that's what they did. They would write it. Now Rashi says Shneim Kaisin Dibri Hamazakin Shneim Kaisin Dibri Hamachayavin. It's actually unlike the Girsa of the Gemara that. And you can see on the side over here, it's different girsa, that they actually did both. So then why did two people write the same thing? So if let's say one made a mistake, so you can always look at your friend's documents. So by two of them, we can authenticate that everything was written down. There's one judge writes only the tainas of the one who says that he's going to be zakai, and the other one writes only the information about the person who's chayiv. And you have a third person that does both. And the idea is because this way this person could focus on one area, and therefore it's more likely that he'll be able to get everything down. But still, you have a third person that wrote down both to just cover if there was anything that was missing. As we continue to Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph, so it wasn't just one row, because what would happen if you need other judges to join in? So we had three other rows of Talmid Chachamim. Everyone knew their place. If they were needed to be a judge, they would take from the first, echad min hashniya, bolo rishayna, echad min hashlishis, bolo shniya. Barin lehen oid echad min hakahal, moishivan oiso b'shlishis. So basically, you would take, there's three rows, you would take one guy from the first row. Now there's a vacant slot, so therefore someone in the second row will move up to the first. Someone from the third row will move up to the second. Now there's an empty spot for the third row. We bring someone from the shuk to do that. That's fine. And it says, you don't go, the guy who's in the second row doesn't go to the first row into that person's vacant seat. Rather, everyone shifts over, and basically he moves to the end of the new row. So basically, the person who is chosen is, let's say, the top choice. So it doesn't make sense when you have, let's say, there's 23 people in a row. All those 23 people are better fitted to be the chosen judge over anyone in the second row. So therefore, the guy in the second row moving to the first row has to be put in 23rd place, not in first place, obviously. That's the idea behind that. Well, this Rashi says, sometimes you have to keep adding two more until you get to 71. That's why, in addition to 23, you need another 48 to equal the 71. So even though the truth is you need 48, but it doesn't, so then why do you have 3 rows? Because it wouldn't be befitting that the other rows should have 24, that the rows will be larger than the actual 23 of judges. Therefore, that's the reason why it's 23. 23, 23, 23, even though the most you really need is 48. We don't make smaller rows. We're not going to make 2 rows of 23, which would be 46, and just the third row only has 2 guys. That's how we make 3 rows. That's the reason for it. So says the Gemara. So how do we know, says Rashi, that the Sanhedrin would sit in a semicircle fashion? Do you ever recall? Because the pasuk in Shir Shirim says, Sharecha ganatzayar, that the navel, which is the middle of the person, that which is found in the middle of the body, is a basin and moon-shaped. Al yachser hamazeg b'goymer, should not be missing the mixture. So sharecha, referring to your navel, what is that referring to? Zu Sanhedrin. So why is it called the navel? Because it's sitting in the middle of the world, which is the base of Mikdash, which is considered the middle of the world. So Agen Shehi Magina Al Kolom Kuloi. The reason why it's called a basin is because it protects the entire world. And Hatzayr, a moon, Shehi Daimel Hatzayr. It's comparable to a moon in that, like, its crescent is like a semicircle. Al Yachser Hamezeg, you should miss out the measurement and the mixture. She'im hutzrach echad mehem lotzes. If one of them needs to leave, Ryan, we evaluate. Im yesh esem v'shleisha keneged Sanhedrin katana yaitze. If there's 23 keneged Sanhedrin katana, you can go. Imav enu yaitze. Otherwise, he's not allowed to go. Al yachsuru, you cannot be less. So that's the sugu. Question 5. Sharecha, again, hatzar al yachsar amazek el dinim. So again, one of the things we learn out is when it comes to din nefashis, they have to sit like a semicircle. Shein yoitzin malishkas hasanhedrin, that we don't leave the lishkas sanhedrin el in kindishu shlish mehen, unless there's at least a third of them remaining. Shnemer al yachser hamezek. So that's the reason why you need, out of 71, you need at least a third of them there, which is keneged the Sanhedrin Katana, which is the 23. Okay. So on that, the Gemara says, quoting the pasuk in Shir Shirim, bin necha rimas chitim, that your stomach is like a pile of wheat. Ma rimas chitim, just like wheat. Hakol nehenin mimena, everyone gets pleasure from it. Af Sanhedrin hakol nehenin mitameyan. We get hana from their reasoning. Furthermore, in Shir Shirim, suga b'shashanim, that it's like a wall of like roses. Shafil kasuga shel shashanim lo yifritzu behen pratzos. That even when it comes to like a wall of flowers, they will not breach any breaches. Says Rashi, Gedura b'shashanim kalemer bazhara, with regarding to various warnings. Okay. The Einsarch Geder Avanim Hafsiku Shavil Ein Rechaikim and Havera El Geder Shaishanim. If the only thing that they do is a partition of flowers, Masik Beinehem, that will also be a separation. Lo Yifritzuba Practice together, no one is going to basically break their words, even though the only thing that it is a wall of flowers, which you can just easily walk through, but no one's going to break through their warnings, their psak. Okay. V'hainu di'amrulei hahu min al Rav Kahana, and it's comparable to what this min said to Rav Kahana. Amrisu nida sharliach b'hadi gavra. I heard that a nida is allowed to seclude herself with her husband. But efshir eish menares venu mehav heves. How is it possible that a fire which is so flammable, is not going to get singed? In other words, how is it allowed? So the Torah says that there are even small harchakos, shafil kisuga b'shoshanim, even a wall of roses. Well, yifra to behen pratzos, a person's not going to break that. So therefore, there's no reason why we should have extra stringencies, because a person is not going to violate the Isser Nida. Oh, we said that just like your temples are comparable to a rimain, to a pomegranate. So we end up the drashas. I feel rekanim shebacha. Even those who are empty, malayin mitzvahs karimin, they're filled up like pomegranates. So that he smelled the garment, which is a Sefer Bereshis. Rather read rebelliousness. Hanu bar Yoinid habi mishvisad Rav Zera. So a neighbor of Rav Zera was a bar Yoini. Tahavi mikarabu ki heichi denehadru uhu bitiyuvta. He used to basically try to get him asking questions. Vavi kaptu Rabbanan. The Rabbanan were obviously upset at the behavior of the Baroni. Kinach nash Rav Zera. When Rav Zera died, Amri ad inna havi charicha katin shakya. Until then, the thigh was the short one. His thigh was singed. Davi boyalon rachmi used to ask mercy upon this guy. Hashdaman boyalon. Who's going to ask rachmim on me? Here who bilavayhu abdi tshuva. So he ended up doing tshuva. So he basically said, I realized that Rav Zera, who this was his name because he was burnt in a fire. Recalls the story, but basically he said Rav Zera was protecting me, but now I better do tshuva. Shalosh shuras hu Amar Rabbi so shmamina ki 90 kuhu 90. When one guy moves up, everyone shifts over. V'leimo lahu. Why do we say ada in Haviyasim the Bereisha? Until now, let's say I was in row number 2, but I was the top dog in row number 2. Now hashda mosimnu li bidanavi. I'm going to be the last one in line. I'm going to be the number 23 in row 1. Which is, yeah, that's better. We say, better to be the tail of a lion than to be the head of a fox. Basically means it's better the fact that you're shifting upwards, even though you were at the top, but you're at the top of a group in the middle group, but being raised to a higher level, even though really, in comparison to everyone else, now you're the lowest. Nonetheless, it's better that way. I always compare it to a person who, like a kid was in school in 8th grade, so he's like a big shot, and all of a sudden, next year he goes to a high school and he's the smallest in the high school. Yeah, but now you're in high school, right? So you're elevated to a higher standard. Maybe that's a good example. I don't know. Let's see the next Mishnah. Says the Masnisim, Ketzad maminin es edim. So how do we intimidate the witnesses? So al eidain nefashos, when it comes to witnesses regarding capital cases, hayu machnis and oisai, we'd bring them in, umamin and alein, and we'd intimidate them, and we'd say like shema taimrum umar, maybe you're guessing. This is some speculation. Umishamua, it's through hearsay. Aid mapi aid. You didn't actually see this directly. It was through another witness. Mapi adam ne'eman. Maybe you heard it from a trustworthy person, but you didn't actually see it. Shemi iatem yoidim. Maybe you don't know. Shesaifno lived like eschem, but the rishon chakira. You know that we're going to ask you tons of questions, and where were you, and all the intricate details about the person in question. Have yoidim? Do you know shaluk kedini mominus din nefashis? The dinim mominus is not like din nefashis. Dinim mominus adam naisein mamon meschaprulay. When it comes to false testimony, you can just give up some money that you tried to extort or take from this other person or lie, and that's it. You get a kapara. Din nefashis, if you have someone die, there's nothing you can do as a full kapara. Damoi v'dam zaraisav tuyin boyad sarv oilam. When you kill someone, as I once heard, you take away everything from that man and anything that man ever will have. So you're killing him, and all of his future generations will never exist. We know that Cain who killed Hevel, Shnemer Udemei Achicha Swakim. So Eno Omer Dam Achicha. No, Demei Achicha. It doesn't say he killed blood, it was bloods. Damoi V'dam Zaraisav, which means he didn't only kill Hevel, but all of his future generations that would have come from him. Davar Acher, Demei Achicha Shahia Damoi Mushlach Al Eitzim V'Alvanim. So basically, Cain had no idea how to kill someone, so therefore he kept hitting him with stones and with wood and sticks until finally he died. And he kept hitting him, rather, until the blood splattered all over this wood and all over the stones. And therefore, we learn also that a person was born alone. Adam was born by himself. You kill one person, it's like you destroy the whole world. But if you preserve one person, you're saving the whole world, because that person has endless potential. Because of peace of the world and people, a person should not say that Abba Gadol me'avicha, my father is greater than your father. There's all these different deities in the world, and God, there's many gods. And to say the greatness of Hashem, because a person can mint many coins with one minting. However, when you make coins, they're all identical. You have a dollar bill, they all look the same, basically. Here, we all came from Adam. Nonetheless, even though we came from the same original mint, if you will, no one is like their friends. Everyone needs to say, the world was created because of me, because every one of us is unique and special. Maybe someone will say, as we continue Lamed Zayin Amud Beis, still in this Mishnah, Malanu, what is this to us? What Sar Hazais, this trouble. V'haloik for Nemer, the pasuk says, V'hu Eid or Ra or Yada Imo Yagid v'Gaimer. So basically, it's saying that maybe it's not worth all this aggravation of this testimony, because I can get myself into trouble. But the problem is, Imlo Yagid, but there's an Isser for you not to speak. You have a Chiyuv to speak up. You have a Chiyuv to be able, if you saw something, you have to say. That the disappearing of Rishayim is song. So again, you can maybe say, why should I be mechayev all these people? Maybe I should just let them live and just say, not speak. No, because there's a concept of V'yartu Rami Kibecha. You have to speak up when someone is evil. Says the Gemara, Tanaban, Ketzan Mu'umad. So how do we again intimidate the witness? So Amulahen Shema Kach Risem. This is how you saw it. Sheretz Acher Chaveru L'Chorba. Sheretz Acher Chaveru L'Chorba. Maybe you saw the guy running into a building. V'ratzem Acharav Umatsasam Sai Biyada. And you saw the guys running after him, and after the victim. The guy has a big knife in his hand, a sword. V'damoy, and then he comes out. V'damo mataftef, and his blood dripping from the sword. The haring mafarfair, and all of a sudden the guy, his body is shaking. So you may not have actually seen it, but you went into a building where there's no one in there. Two people run in there, and one guy comes out with a bloody knife, and the other one comes out dead. So im kach reisim, if that's actually what you saw, reisim klum, you saw nothing, because you actually have to witness the actual murder, and that doesn't count. Tanya Rav Shimon ben Shetach, Erev ben Chamim lo reisi echad, and this is actually similar to Gemara and Marcus. He says, "I'll receive comfort and consolement if I didn't see echad sheratz acher chaveru lechorba." same thing. This is actually what happened. Someone's running into a building, running away from someone. I saw someone after. He's holding a sword. And there's blood dripping all over the place. And the dead guy was shaking. He was murdered. He was killed. But I didn't actually see the man actually stab him. Yamarti lo Russia, mi harglazat, o ani, o ata. Who is this guy that killed? It was either you or me, right? There's no one else here. I didn't do it. I'm a tzaddik. I'm shem meshatach. So it was definitely you. What can I do? Shein damcha moster biadi. Shahari Amr Tyra al Pishnaim Adim you masames. You need to have 2 witnesses. So I don't have 2 witnesses, so they're not going to be killed. Hayodea machshavos, but Hashem, who knows our thoughts. Yifra mo'isa ish, that person will be paid back. Shahari ges chaveroi, or anyone who kills someone. So even if you're not punished in Beis Din, you'll eventually get your punishment. Amru, it said, the guy actually got bit and died. Now the question is, why was this the punishment? Bahai bar nachashu. So the question is, why was his punishment being bit by a snake? After all, Yomi Rabbi Yosef v'chein tani Rabbi Chizkiya miyom shachar beis hamikdash. Sometimes beis hamikdash is destroyed, which is no more formal arba misos based in. So aval pi shabat Sanhedrin arba misos lo batalu. It was not nullified. Lo batalu val batalu. I mean, it wasn't nullified. You just said it's batal. Of course, the Beis Din can't administer the death penalties. Eladin arba misos lo batalu. Still don't get their punishment. How? Someone's supposed to get the punishment of skila. So either they're going to fall from a building, which as the Gemara in Parakar Mises talks about, that's how the person was killed. He's pushed, or he's going to have a wild animal basically devour him and destroy him. So that is what will happen, as Rashi says. It was 2 positions higher than the person's the height of a person's body. A person who's supposed to get burned, either he'll get burnt by fire, or a snake will bite him. So here what we see, the snake getting bit and killed by a snake is the punishment of sreifa. But the question is, this person who killed, the punishment for misa is not sayif, is not sreifa, it's sayif. So misha sayif hariga. So someone who is supposed to get hariga or sayif, nimso malchus, and of course that's how they administered their death penalties, by beheading. Olistim boinalov, or bandits will come and they'll kill you with a sword. Misha chayv chenek, if you're chayv to be strangled, you'll drown. Omes bitsur nachi, or you'll die with this particular illness. So this is a Rashi over here. Okay, so anyway, that's a kasha. So why was this person killed by a snake? It would have made more sense. He should have drowned, or he should have been killed by malchus. So Amri hahu chet achriti havoy pei. He did another sin. That he was chayav sreifa, which is a more severe punishment than the punishment of saif. Yermamar misha chayav shnei misos based in nidan bechamura. So if there's more than one death penalty they're supposed to get, we give the more strict one. So sreifa, even though there's a machlokes by skill in sreifa, we'll see over there in Tanakh and Rav Shimon, but there's no question that sreifa is more chamer than chenek or saif, and therefore that's the reason why he got that death penalty. Okay, that's why he was killed that way, I should say. Okay, ma'umid v'chulu. So bedin in nefashis hu deloy am dinon. So when it comes to dini nefashis, we do not assess this way. So So come on, Kravacha, the San Ravacha Oimer, Gamal Ha'oicher, Ben Gamal. Let's say you have a Gamal. And again, this is like through making guesses and assessments. And when it comes to a Gamal, so you have a camel, which Ha'uchar, which is questionable what that word means. Rashi says either Naishech was biting other camels, or Rashi's Lenira Shahagamal Hazachar is a male camel, Mizdaveg Im Hanekeva. It was mating with a female camel. So Kali Uchar, it's brought down elsewhere that that's what it's referring to. Anyway, so this animal was engaged in some activity. V'nimsa Gamal Harig B'tzidoi. And then all of a sudden you see a camel lying dead. So B'yaduish is a Hargu. It's logical that this camel is the one that killed. Says Rashi, Shederch Susim Mizavnin Lahakoi Susim Shibatzidai V'hainim Umid. We see this very often as part of, while an animal's mating, a male may be violent toward another male animal so that it's not going to take away its mate, or to demonstrate that he should be the leader of the pack, etc. So we know that that is how we do it. When it comes to dini momnus, we make these calculations that we're amdinon, and that's like Ravacha. However, when it comes to din nefashos, we don't make these assumptions. It says, according to you, aid mepi aid the katani bin nefashos u'doloi amrinon habedim momnus amrinon. You're telling by dini momnus, we also make this distinction that we accept testimony aid mepi aid, which is like indirect testimony, but not. We learned, it says like this. We had this before. Im oimer, if let's say one witness says, "Who oimerli that he said this to me, shani chayav loy, ish ploini, oimerli shehu chayav lo, he told me about it." Oimer klum, it's nothing. Ad sheomer b'fanenu hoidelo, has to be b'fanenu shehu chayav lo masayim zuz. Alma, what do we see? Afagav the psili b'din mominus, amrinan luhu b'din nefashos, hachinami afabi afagav the psil b'din mominus. So the truth is, it's not necessarily the case. Under certain circumstances, we will say that they have different dinim. However, as Rashi says, the nan hacha v'lo tanula yoyin be'edi momoin hachinami. So even though it's true, it doesn't. You could maybe think we make a distinct. We don't make a distinction by dinim nefashos and dinim momnus that aid mepi doesn't work. So maybe also umid, our mission is saying the same thing, that it doesn't work in that situation either. Okay. Now let's go a little bit further. Havi yoidim v'chlu. So again, the Mishnah continues and discusses that we cannot be mu'umid. You can't guess, and there has to be derish v'chakira. And one of the things it says, havi yoidim shlo kedini mamas dini nefashos. That's not the same thing. If you lie by dini mamas, just pay the money. Dini nefashos, it's forever. So Amar Yehuda Bered Rav Chia Malamed Shosa Kain Behevel Echav Chaburos Chaburos. Actually, he kept making tremendous amount of wounds on his brother. Petzios. He kept stabbing him. He didn't know how to kill someone. Until he reached his neck, and then that's how Hevel died. From the time in which the earth opened its mouth, v'kiblasu l'damo shel Hevel, it was makabel the blood of Hevel, shuv loy pascha, it never opened again. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, mi kanaf haaretz, from the edge of the earth, zemirais shamanu, I've heard these zemirais, tzvi l'tzadik, dear to the righteous. Mi kanaf haaretz v'lo mapi haaretz. It's only from the edge, but not from the mouth of the earth. What do you mean? The pasuk says by Kairach that the earth did reopen its mouth. The earth will open up for the Rishayim to swallow them up, but not to provide goodness for its inhabitants. When it comes to Golus, it's mechaper half of one's sins. Why? Because Mikar said originally the pasuk says Vayisa Nav and Nod, that kind is going to be traveling around like a nomad. Afterwards it says Yoshev Eretz Noid, and he sat in Noid, which it doesn't say No, it says Noid. So we see that his being in Golus was a mechaper for half of it. Amr Rav Yehuda Golus mechaper shloish devarim. Golus actually is mechaper three things, as Rashi says: cherev, rav, dever, the sword, hunger, and plague. Shenemar, as it says in Yirmiyah, Kaimer Hashem, Gaimer Hayashib Be'ir Azaisun, sitting in the city, Yomus Becherev, Barav, Uvadever. V'hayotzi v'nafel el hakazdim hatzachim aleichem yichya. V'haisel nashul shalol. And it will be to their soul as a treasure. Rabbi Yochanan Omer Golus mechaperes al hakoil. Actually, Golus is not mechaper half, it's mechaper everything. Shenemar Komer Hashem Kisu as ish hazeh, right to this person, this man, a riri gever lo yitzlach biyomam. This person who is childless will not be successful. Ki lo yitzlach mazaru, it won't be successful from his offspring. Ish yoshim al kisei David, the person will sit by the throne. Umoishel oid bi Yehuda, and lead more by Yehuda. Ubaser de gayulaksiv. However, after Golus it says V'nei yachanu aser b'nai Shaltiel Benoi. So Asir, what is Asir? Shivraso Imoi Bebeis Asurin, that his mother got pregnant in the jail. Shil see El, what is that? Chishaslu El, that he planted him. Shalokader Hanishtalin, not the normal way in which one was implanted. Gemiri she'ein ha'isha misaberes ma'umid. So what does that mean? A woman cannot be mubaras ma'umid. She's not going to get pregnant while standing, as we continue on Chesed Aleph. V'hinis abra ma'umid, but she did, says Rashi, shahaya beis ha'asurim tsar, because the jail was very narrow. Vein makam lishchav, there was no place to lie down. V'shilshulu sham Isha uvagada deviyikra rabba. Okay, Amrle. So davar acher shall siel shenishal al losoi kail. So what is that referring to? It says Rashi, lahatir lo gezera, they allowed a decree. Shenishma, they swore. Shul yehelo ben, not to have a child. Vatir lo plamia, and they allowed, the army allowed it. Shema mina shvu ksiva behi parsha deksivu ish sees this. Fine. Zaru Bavel, Zaru shenizra bebavel, that he gave seed in Bavel. Mashmo Nehemiah ben Chachiloi Shemoi, but his name was Nehemiah. Okay, we're gonna stop there. Okay, let's see maybe another question. Question 6. Koil demeachicha soakim. Adu nemer demei b'loshen rabim. To tell you again, anyone who kills, you are not only killing that one person, you're killing all future generations. Or that he kept hitting the guy, and therefore it was mushlach domo bahar min kaimos, and blood basically splattered in all places. TA 16. Maha marker de Sanhedrin Yoshin Bagula. Maha marker Shesayrich Shishar Sanhedrin L'chol Pachos Chav Gimel Keneged. Okay, so this is on Lamed Zayin Amid Aleph. So this is pretty similar to question 5, TA 16. So first of all, the fact that we say that the Shayrech, which is the navel, which is the etzma of the oilam, which is referring to like the middle of the body, the middle of the world, is the Sanhedrin. And it says that they are supposed to be like a tsayar, like the moon, like the crescent. And therefore it shows that they're supposed to sit in a semicircle. And it says, V'al yachser hamezeg, she'yisher l'chol pachos shlish, there should be a third, kamoi mezigas yayin. Just like when you are involved in mixing the wine, when it comes to mixing the wine, it's a 2-to-1 ratio. or 3-to-1 ratio, depending on the strength of the wine, as the Gemara in Shabbos talks about. So anyway, that's the answer. Okay, TB 17. Same question as question 6. This is on Lamed Zayin and Aleph, and obviously a softball question, which you can only hope that you can get that again. TB 17. Let's see what I wrote, just for the fun of it. Kol hoyrig nefesh achas ki'ilu hoyrig es ha'oilum. Kain lo yada eich lo hamis es hevel vu asa harbe chaburais bavanim ad she yiga hatzavor v'hu mes. Okay. Adkan.